Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Christina Schaefer. I'm the principal at Millville Elementary School, and we're here to answer any questions that our families may have had after watching the virtual preschool tour. Unfortunately, this year, due to COVID, we weren't able to have families in the building, but we did the next best thing and did a virtual tour with our fabulous teachers. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Kathy Boisford, also known as Miss P. I teach integrated preschool, which is for 3 to 5-year-olds with and without disabilities.
I'm Sue Colgan. I'm also one of the integrated preschool teachers, and I also teach students between the ages of 3 and 5 with and without disabilities as well.
Hi, I'm Stacy White. I am the sub-separate special ed pre-K teacher, also 3 through 5, with some developmental delays and other mixed bag, and sometimes integrated too.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. So we did have the video that was posted on our district Facebook page. Later on this evening, it will be posted on our school website and our school Facebook page. So both will be in both of those places. So if you didn't get a chance or you just want to watch it again, you can watch it again on any of those places. But we're here to answer any questions that families may have, their children may have about our preschool program, and to kind of share a little bit more about what we do on a day-to-day basis in preschool. So while we're waiting for questions, I do have a question for our preschool team. So what does a typical day look like in preschool?
I'll start. I think it depends on the room and how our classrooms are laid out. For example, I have students that are generally here 4 and 5 days a week. Mrs. Colgan has students that vary in the days. So I think my schedules can be different. We often come in and we'll have what I call tabletop times or activity times with manipulatives, probably puzzles, or working on letter recognition and numbers. We will do circle time where we all come together and have a story. We usually have, what we would have is play centers where we would work in groups of 4. Right now we're working in groups, they're much more individualized due to social distancing. But we usually have an open-ended activity with manipulatives, like dolls, animals, horses, farm animals. We usually do, again, circle time where we do books, calendars, patterns. We have a snack time, and usually an activity of the day. It can really vary, but again, because I have the students here 4 and 5 days a week, we often get a little bit more into the academics of it. A lot of my students are the 4 and 5-year-olds as well. So we're maybe working on a little bit more of the advanced writing skills, working on their names, their first names, their last names, and all of that. But it's individualized and really tailored to meet the needs of the children.
Don't forget about the playground.
Absolutely. And we also have a playground.
I can go next. In my classroom, I typically have center time, and that usually includes 5 different areas. Sometimes we have dramatic play, a fine motor activity, a gross motor activity. I usually have a writing center out. And then we have circle time each day, which includes a story, maybe a whole group game, a large group game or large group activity. We do use technology in the classroom. I have some games that I use on the smart board. Every classroom has a smart board. I do tabletop activities. Every day I have the students do some type of tabletop work to prepare them for kindergarten. I like them to spend some time practicing their handwriting and following a 1 or 2 or 3 step direction. I give a visual and I have them color, cut, glue. And for me, it's more about following the direction than to actually come home with a project that looks really nice. I want to see that they can create something and listen to what I have to say and follow along step by step. We also have specials in our classrooms. We have art, library, reading, phys ed. And this year we started having the guidance counselor, the adjustment counselor come into our classroom and work with our students on some really fun activities. And of course, we do the playground too. So we want to prepare your students academically for kindergarten, but we also want them to have fun. We acknowledge the fact that they're very young. This is their first school experience, and we want them to feel safe, cared for, and enjoy themselves.
Stacey, do you have anything to add to that?
I will add that part of the way that young children learn is by playing. So even the play during the day is part of how they're learning to process information and how to be at school. And I do many of the same things that Sue and Kat do. Mine get adjusted slightly depending on physical or developmental or cognitive need. But the same kind of schedule: centers and circle time, story, playground, table work, that kind of thing. And we also have, depending on the needs of the students, OT, PT, and speech, who often push in. And if they're pushing in, generally they may do a project with the whole group, which is nice. And then some of it is pull out as well. But it's great to have them in the building because it helps us when we're planning our tabletops to kind of focus in on what we can be adding for like fine motor practice or sound practice, or on the playground, gross motor practice.
So, Ms. B, you mentioned earlier about that there are different days. So you have some different setups of days. Can you guys tell a little bit about what do we offer for programs in our school, and the the length of day, the number of days, etc.?
I've been here now over 12 years, and when I first started, it was a 2-day-a-week program. And every year we send out, we really look at what the community wants, and we offer a 2, 3, 4, or a 5-day, and we really tailor the program to meet the needs of the community. So now we're actually looking and asking the question about full day, and I don't know the answer yet. It'll depend on what the community needs. But we really look at, we send out the applications, we bring them in, and then that defines our program. If we have enough students that want 5-day a week, we do 5. If not, I can have students come 2 and 3 days. The program will meet the needs of the community depending on what they need. So we've grown and ebbed. When I first started, it was stagnant. It was 2 days a week. And over the years, Mrs. Colgan and I, as well as Stacy, have really looked at it and said, what do we need? So it will really reflect what the applications look like and what the parents would like to have their child attend.
So if I had a child in the preschool this year, would it be important for me to fill out the application again for next year?
I think so. I think, one, we want the most current data, but we also, there's options we have this year that we didn't have last year. So definitely keeping us informed of what you want, and then us keeping you informed of what we're offering. Mm-hmm. Last year, I had a couple of families ask me about coming full day, and it wasn't an option last year because of our numbers and because of COVID restrictions. But I think we really want to take that chance this year if there's interest from the community. So it's something that we're putting out there to see what the feedback gives us.
Mm-hmm. I currently teach a 2 and 3 day a week program. Currently it works Monday, Wednesday, Friday is our 3-day program, morning and afternoon. Tuesday, Thursday is our 2-day program. We used to have it on different days, but we had a lot of parents express that they liked the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the Tuesday, Thursday program better. So we did adjust that last year, depending on the feedback that we got from the families. So I have both morning and afternoon. The program runs from 9 to 11:30 in the morning and from 12:30 to 3 in the afternoon. And as Ms. B said, we are toying with the idea of starting a full day program based on feedback that we've gotten from the community and from parents who would really like their kids to be in the public school. And some have older siblings and they would like to have their kids in the same place, but maybe that half-day option doesn't work. So we're seeing what type of interest we have in that as well.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. So obviously we did kind of talk a little bit about the status, and some of our timings may change next year. For those that may not be aware, if you don't have children currently in the district, we are going to be, Millville Elementary will be an early childhood school next year. So next year we will be pre-K, K, and 1, and the following year will be pre-K, K, 1, and 2. So we'll be an early childhood school. So our times across the district may change. So we may have to adjust it just so parents know based on what our start time is and how much it gets shifted, just in order to meet the needs of the busing and all that. So, but it would be around maybe 10 minutes or so later or earlier. We'll kind of mess with that once we get going. But just so families know that Millville is going to be an early childhood. So we're excited about that because we'll have our students to be able to be with us from pre-K through 3. So the pre-K and K teachers can actually have that time to be able to collaborate with each other and kind of get to know the kids. So the following year, when the kids go to the K with pre-K, from pre-K, they can actually already get the sense of them. Or if the teachers have a question, they can come back and ask our pre-K team, which will be nice to have all of the pre-K and K. This is the first year we did it. And our kindergarten team enjoyed the fact that preschool is right down the hall instead of across the schools to another school. So
I think it'll be good for community building too amongst the students to have a group that's going to be coming up together through those important early years, you know?
perfect.
We can get some kindergarten buddies.
Exactly. So, all right. So now you guys told us a little bit about the day. And I know we talked about, Mrs. Colgan mentioned that they have specials during the day. So what is the typical student teacher ratio in a given year?
Go ahead, Sue.
We typically have one teacher and one paraprofessional in the classroom. We never have less than that. Occasionally we've had, my afternoon program at the moment has one teacher and two paraprofessionals because Miss B is doing a remote learning. So we have a paraprofessional that's working with us in the afternoon. We also have the support of the PT, the OT, and the speech people that come into our classroom. And as Stacy had said, if they're working with a student, they generally are working with a whole class if they're pushing into the program. Every week I have the occupational therapist that comes in and she does a group activity. So that gives us a third person in the classroom if it's myself and a paraprofessional. Every week I also have the physical therapist that comes in and she might do a yoga group or some type of movement group. And we do have, as I had said, we had guidance in the classroom. So we do have at least a teacher with a full-time paraprofessional in the classroom and the support of outside professionals.
Thank you.
Yeah, and physical therapy has come into our room as well. And a lot of times what she'll do is try to group the students she needs to, and she'll do one big group and include the children who are not part of it. So we'll do a yoga group, we'll do a movement activity, and everyone gets to join in, which is great for all the kids.
Awesome.
My ratios tend to be a little bit, we tend to have a little more staff per student, depending on the needs of the room. So I usually have fewer students, and so that number goes down. Right now it's 2 to 1, but well, 1 to 2, 2 students to 1 teacher.
Yep. Awesome. So now if I have a child and I'm ready for them to go to preschool, do they need to be potty trained in order to come to preschool?
Officially, yes. But we also know early childhood. And we usually say if they're the majority of the way, if they're 90% there, and we definitely, in a new setting, in a new environment, all of that, there's accidents happen and we totally expect that. The reason we want that is potty training is pretty intense for some children, and we don't want to miss that opportunity or confuse them. So if they're on the right track, if they're, the majority of the time, so we say yes with a wink and a smile because we know children. We know a 3-year-old coming into a strange room might not tell the teacher they need to go. So we do usually have a couple of weeks of transition where accidents happen. We totally understand that. But we want them to be the majority of the way, again, because it can be intensive and we don't have the ability to maybe catch them or see those indicators when we have a class of 15. So officially, yes. Unofficially, we do understand the developmental. Sometimes it's not mastered, but it's pretty close.
I will say too that in my experience, if children are kind of on the borderline, that school will actually take them over the finish line. That school helps potty training, perhaps because we're not as close as parents might be. So they tend to perform for us a little bit.
And I guess for me, I would say that we encourage parents before their kids start school in September to work on their self-help skills in general, being able to maybe open a juice box, open a snack, pull on their own pants, things like that. So it would be nice if you were working on those potty training skills in the summer before they start. But for the first few weeks of school, we realized that almost all the students need some assistance in the bathroom. And that's why we always have at least 2 staff members there. By the end of the school year, very little assistance is needed. So we do understand that there's accidents. We take that in stride, that there's no punitive if your child starts school and has accidents or regresses with their potty training, we're not going to unenroll them because of that. So we will work with you as far as the potty training is concerned.
Great. So we still don't have any questions yet from our outside audience, but we do have some other things that we can share. So if anyone that is watching, I know we have several people watching. So if you are watching and you have any questions, things that we might have not have touched upon, please make sure that you just put them up in the chats, and we will be happy to ask them in our session. So my next question is what does a child need to bring to school in the preschool program?
I can start if you want.
You know, a backpack, a child. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. You was
Am I
fading out a
frozen?
little bit. Just occasionally.
Sorry.
I don't know if I'm freezing
Oh, was
at
I?
all,
I'm
but-
sorry. Oh, I just
Okay.
okay. Okay. I keep freezing. I see. I'm sorry. I would
okay.
just say, you know, usually we're very flexible. We say backpack, and you know, everything be labeled. But we usually, if it's a grocery bag with the plastic grocery bags, whatever it is that their stuff can fit into, during the first couple of weeks, we do ask that they have a full change of clothes just in case. And we'll send it home every day. We'll write clean or dirty if it's been used, because there are accidents and things happen. So those first couple of weeks, we always ask for a Ziploc bag with a full change of clothes, and then a snack, a peanut-free snack, and something to drink. We will send home a letter informing our parents specifically about that, the protocols for coming in and our dismissal and all of that. But the less is better. We really are. Some children will come in with their toys, and it can sometimes be difficult because of the sharing and all of that. So again, those first couple of weeks we're flexible, but we really try to have them come in and engage with our materials. If they come in with like 4 stuffed animals, it makes it hard for them to transition. So less is more.
And we do send out a letter in the summer, and it will be very specific about everything that your child will need. It will also be very specific about your arrival and departure routines and all of our contact information. And I think you'll be well prepared when you read our letter, as well as a wish list of things that are not required, but things that the teachers would love to have at the beginning of the school year. So you'll know what to bring that first day.
And I know Ms. B mentioned something about peanut-free snack. Is that something that is normal for the preschool? Well, I know the answer, but.
It is actually our entire wing, and it'll probably be our whole school, will be peanut-free. Early childhood programs often are really, really restrictive on peanut snacks because of the exposure and children not knowing they're allergic and not knowing how to. They cross-contaminate accidentally if the oils are on their fingers and they touch tables. So we're very aware of that, especially pre-K and K. I know as they get older, they have a peanut-free table and things of that nature. But those children usually have a better understanding and can take on that responsibility, and our young learners just can't. So we just kind of make it safe for all. So we just say it's a peanut-free program.
And so while we're talking about snacks, does the preschool program provide snacks for students?
No, we don't.
No, for many reasons. One, it's not part of the funding. So we don't, but we do recommend healthy snacks. But if a child does forget some, we do have some spares.
Awesome. How about the background of the three of you? So if you want to talk a little bit about the educational background of the teachers that we have on our staff.
Sure. I'll start. I have a background. I have a business degree, and I was somewhat of a career changer. After I worked in the insurance industry for a few years, I started my own family daycare while I raised my own children. So I'm the mother of 3 big kids, which is probably my biggest qualification for working in preschool. And I also have 4 grandchildren. And many years ago, I went back to school and I got I was working in family daycare at the time, and I got licensed to teach elementary school. But then I decided that my real true love was the early childhood. I love the little kids. And I went back and I got certified in early childhood. So I have an elementary, certification. I have early childhood certification. And then I got my master's degree in special education. And I also got an administrative license along the way. So all of us have degrees and we're licensed through the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, as our teachers that teach kindergarten and up are also licensed. We are as well.
Ms. B, do you want to talk about your background, and then Ms. White?
Sure. I've been a teacher now for a very long time. I got certified back in 1997, which is kind of crazy to me, but I started off working with children with disabilities. I worked with children with significant disabilities, visual impairments, deaf, blind. And then as I continued my career, I began to work in integrated settings, and I absolutely love it. So I'm certified in special ed, early childhood, as well as visual impairments. And I have a master's and a doctorate in special education, and I love what I do.
I was a career changer as well. I worked in the arts for a long time, and then decided to go back to graduate school and get a teaching degree. So my bachelor's is in communications, but my master's degree is in early childhood and elementary education. And but I've mostly taught early childhood. I've had a couple of forays into kindergarten, but I really enjoy pre-K. And actually, I had a couple of forays a little bit older than that back in the day. And this is my 17th year teaching. And when I lived in Maine prior to moving to this area, I had started working in special ed and fell in love with it. And so I pivoted to the special ed end of things. And having early childhood and special ed at the same time is exactly where I want to be.
Fantastic. Thank you all for sharing. So we still don't have any other questions, but I do know Miss B and Mrs. Actually, I don't remember who it was. Somebody said about the full day program. So that is definitely something we are still exploring. We're waiting. So those applications that are available on our school website, if you have picked one up, the information's on there. Please fill that out, send that back in. So that way we can make a determination. We will be looking at interest and see how many people we have potentially interested in a full day program and discussing that between the preschool team, myself, the Director of Learner Support Services. I mean, as a district, we'll decide whether this is something we will be moving forward with based upon the interest on that survey. We had a question come in. Is it too late to register? So one of you guys want to take that, please?
No, didn't they just start the registration? Yeah, no, it's not too late. Absolutely not. And that's why we're doing this now. I'm not sure the due date. Is it February, Christina?
Off the top of my head, I want to say it's end of February, early March.
Right, yeah. No, that's why we're doing this now. We want to get this out. Maybe someone will see this and mention it to someone else and it'll be a stone in the water. But yeah, no, it's not too late. And that's, like I said, we're trying to front load, get the information out there. We've heard a lot of times people in the past will send out our application and by then they've already committed to other programs. So we're trying to get it out there. No, it's not too late and we'd love to have you.
And actually, one thing we should probably explain. So what our process is the application that I mentioned just a few minutes ago, that's on our district website. It is for parents to fill out. And then what we do is we look at it and we say, and that's what was mentioned earlier, that we decide upon our programming. So maybe we have a lot of interest in a 5-day program. Maybe we have a lot in a 4-day program, a 3, whatever. But it is important for us to have that information so we can determine if we have most of our program wants a 3-day program, then we will have to have a lottery. And we have a lottery based on interest. If we have a lot of people interested in one particular area, we will have a lottery say it's 3-day. I know this past year was the 3-day program. It's 3-day morning. So you may not get in the 3-day morning, but we may say, hey, we have the 3-day afternoon available. So we could offer you the 3-day afternoon. We could have the 2-day morning, the whatever. So we do work with families that if your first preference is not there and you weren't able to get it, we do offer you other options for what we have spacing in. And that is just an important piece to know for families, because we do look at those applications. So it is important you get those applications in, because we do have our preschool lottery in March. And we will be sending out notifications to families that complete the application about the date and time of the lottery. It will most likely be virtual unless things change, but we've been kind of running everything virtual these days. So we'll give people the links and all that good stuff for you to join us on the link.
Yeah, and just that's, thank you for mentioning that, Mrs. Schaefer, because it's true. The majority of applications come in and request the morning session. We understand that. And to be fair, we will do a lottery if need be. So, because the majority want that, and then from there we can, fade it, offer out to other options. But either way, we really try hard every year to offer everyone at least one spot. It might not be their first choice, but we really do try to work with families to make sure we can provide their child some services.
Mm-hmm.
And one other thing we should mention is once we do the preschool lottery, the school will be in contact with you. Once we get all the placements done, you would come in and pick up a preschool registration packet, and you'd fill that out. You'd return it with all the information we need. And then, if I'm correct, the September payment is due in June, I'm pretty sure, June or July, somewhere around there. We have talked about the date potential change. So, so that first payment, so for September, would be due prior to the end of our school year.
Yeah, to explain quickly on that one, the reason was we had a lot of people who said they were interested and went to other programs, and we denied other people's services. So it's just to make sure that if you want to come to the program, that we don't save a seat for children that really aren't interested. So it's really, and then you're a month ahead, you're all set. It's going to go into that payment, but it really secures that spot, and then we don't lose a lot of people in September, and other people have made other arrangements.
So we do have another question that came in. Would I email if more people, for example, register for 3-day AM and I was to register for the 3-day PM, would I get put into a lottery or automatically register? I would automatically get a spot.
Great question. No, if we have 15 slots for PM and you're number 12, you're in. So that's the other thing too, being aware that, if you choose a session, if it's the 2-day afternoon and we're not full, you'll automatically get in. The lottery is only for the program that the need supersedes what we have. So if we have, 16 spots and we have 20 applications, we'll have a lottery. But the other programs, if they're not full or we can meet their needs, they'll get plugged in. There'll be no lottery.
Mm-hmm.
Great question.
And the other nice thing is that if you do sign up and you only originally want a 3-day AM, but someone else sends a 3-day PM, they would actually still get the first, they would get that spot, and then we'd kind of fill in. So, with what we have left for spots. So we do reach out to families. Our preschool team does after we do their initial lottery and we get our spots full for the number of slots we have. Our preschool team does reach out to families and kind of connect and see if there's any other wiggle room in your schedule. Would you be able to do more days? Would you be able to do an afternoon? Would you be able to do a morning instead of an afternoon? And we kind of just ask those questions with families. We will not just throw you in something just because you filled out an application. So that is important to note, that we always check with families before we do select a spot for you or put you in a spot.
Mm-hmm. And there's also some families too that if they had to go through the lottery, for example, our 3-day morning program is always the most popular. And if a family didn't get in, they might choose to stay on the waiting list. The school generally informs you where on the waiting list you are. So if you're number 1 on the waiting list, you probably have a pretty decent chance of getting in if there's anyone that drops out over the summer. So we and if you're 15th on the waiting list, you'll know that as well. So we do, and generally we do end up with a waiting list, especially the waiting list tends to be people who didn't register on time and didn't get put into any lottery or plugged into any spot.
Perfect. Thank you, Sue.
Yeah.
Right. Any other questions? We'll wait just another minute. And if the 3 of you, any of you have anything to add while we're waiting, and then we will be soon to wrap up. And it doesn't look like we have any new questions. So any of the 3 of you have anything to say before we wrap up, and then we'll get ready to wrap up. Sure.
I think we have a great integrated preschool program. This is my 9th year here. And I think you always have teachers in the integrated preschool program who generally love young children. And it's a really fun job, I have to say. I also have to say that my own children went to the integrated preschool program in my town. And for me, one of the things was the safety of it. I really loved the fact that my kids went to a school where they were going to smoothly transition into kindergarten. And at any given moment, Mrs. Schaefer can come into my room or the superintendent walks through my classroom. I never know who might come into my classroom.
Mhm.
So this to me, there's a great deal of safety. A lot of people, this is the first time their child has been in school. And for some of you, it might be your first child that you're sending to school. And I always tell parents when we have our open houses, if we have open houses again, virtual or otherwise, that I remember my children and trying to figure out what preschool my oldest daughter was going to. And I think I spent as much time and worry on that as I did when she went to college. So I understand that handing your child over to someone could be a really scary thing. And I just feel like there's a safety factor by sending your child to a public school environment with a principal and several levels of administration in the building.
And so I just want to, reiterate a point that you had made that, if they do come here, they would stay here for kindergarten. So it wouldn't be a transition for them. So the preschool would be a transition. They would have a new teacher for kindergarten, but it would still be the same building. So, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, and I just want to reiterate the accountability. I think in other programs, I'm sure they do, their quality programs, but we do have that accountability here. We're considered, regular teachers. We get observed. We have, have to have lesson plans and curriculum and such. I just want to note too that we really have been incredibly stringent and followed, CDC rules and done all those things. So even during this pandemic, we do have children coming into our classrooms, and we've been incredibly successful with that. So as you look to next year, and I know the pandemic may not be over by September, it might still be an option to think about. Again, in our videos that we put out there, we showed you some of the things we're doing with individual work areas and the separate bins and places to move. So we want to get back to normal as soon as we can. But in the meantime, we're offering quality programs that is safe and I think optimal for kids that choose to come in person as well.
And talking of programming, we are using the same curriculum. This year, we're piloting the World of Wonders, which is the preschool version of our Wonders ELA program. Miss B, you're piloting the STEM scopes. So, yep. So they just started that. So that's going to be, that's what we use for science. So we're starting to integrate more curriculum into our program, and it'll be nice because it's a nice transition for when they go into kindergarten, when they go into, first grade, whatever. And we are, reviewing our math curriculum. So hopefully at some point we'll be able to, in the next couple of years, if we change or if we stay with what we're using, we can add a preschool component to it so that there's some, continuous, flow through each year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, so it doesn't look like we have any new questions, but we do want to thank those that were able to tune in and those that were able to watch this later. If you do have any questions, you can reach out to us at any time. You can contact the school, and we can also give you emails addresses as well. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you to this fabulous preschool team for helping out with this today. And thanks for everyone who asked us questions. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.